Hello. Yeah, so this one is my third lecture about DynamoDB. So in this chapter, we are going for DynamoDB model and data types of DynamoDB and creating the partition and primary key and range key, capacity unit, and demo of creating tables. Okay, so let me go with first. So in in the first chapter of creating tables, we will go tables, item, attributes, and primary key. So table is basically is a combination of row and column, right? So in DynamoDB table uh, store multiple tables data. There are tables similar to relational database. We store data item of a table. However, table of DynamoDB are schema less. There is no fixed structure that we have associated below. We can't literally put anything inside our table as long as primary key kept unique, right? So first is table. Table is similar to what we have in relational, but it is a schema less. The only difference. The item is similar to the rows, right? And item belongs to table. It can contain multiple attributes. Attributes means column. Okay, so so basically it's the same like table, row means item, attributes means column, and then prime. So each individual key value pair item known as attributes, and item built from multiple attributes. And we can think attributes as a property of item, which we can think as a JSON object. Values of attributes can be many scalar and composite data types. So basically it's a column, this rows, and this one is tables. And primary key is a very important part for DynamoDB. And so each table will have one primary key, and primary key is a specific set of attributes. Its value is unique. Primary key value is unique. Every item identify using primary key. Under the hoods, it is used for partition and store the data in order. So the data is also stored in DynamoDB is order by. So there are two components for primary key, partition key. Here is we have unique key, scalar type. Scalar means string, number of Boolean, which determine the storage partition item will go. Partition key and sort key. Here we have two key. Partition keys determine the partition where the item goes into storage, and sort keys determine the rank of item in partition. Number of those two keys needs to be unique. However, there is combination should be unique, right? So primary key we need to define. So looks like example item is a fixed table is order. So this is the primary key, and these are the whole this one is item, and these are attributes, this thing. Okay, and here is one more what we call here item, right? So here is primary key consists of order ID, which is a partition key, same as partition key, that represent the item in JSON object. Order table will contain many item like one store above. Order ID will be unique for each item, and also observe that schema for these two is different. First schema has item, whereas second schema has service, right? Service and item. So it's a schemaless. Each the row which can have different schema or different columns, each item, which we call item here. Now the next very important part is any language or any database we have data types. So DynamoDB basically divided into three parts. Scalar database usually like string, number, Boolean, and null. And the document kind of data is the list and map, and the set is the unique number, string set, number set, binary set. Okay, so these are databases is supported in DynamoDB. So this is so now the next part we are going for understanding of partition. So here you see one partition, second partition, third partition. So similar to DynamoDB, also use same concept. DynamoDB consists of hashing to save data across multiple servers. Hashing means it will store uniquely data. So the load balance across server by assigning various items in a different server based on their partition key. Now it becomes important to have partition key are uniformly random. So random that's why we use hashing. If partition key is not uniformly distributed, all load may go to particular subset of server. This will slow down database. So as we will bound up the response time feature. So that's why they use the hashing algorithm to evenly distributed data all machine. The way looking this would be via analogy of road. Suppose we have 8-lane highway. Hypothetically, let's assume that traffic on the highway is distributed based on the age of driver. All driver is above 18 travel by lane 1 and the rest of driver divided across the lane. This is an extremely example as there will be not many drivers below the official driving age. We can assume that it will be conjunction of lane 1 and while other lane will be empty. Now our here partition key was driver is less than 18, which was false, and the most of driver this bad partition key will cost us the performance and money. The better partition key would win the driving license number of driver. Most of driving license number are uniformly distributed, thus the car would go the proper lane uniformly, right? And primary key and range key. So here we will learn about need of primary key, option for primary key, need for range key example. So need for primary key, as you know, in the map, however you worked with the hash map, hash map has a key value storage. Now you don't need to know a lot about internal working of hash map, but this is like get means in the hash map you will return whatever key you getting, it will give the value. Put means key and value, so you need to put hash. So the work with the hash map, key value storage, you need to set the key, and key is basically used for identify the individual item in the data. This same reason why we need primary key in DynamoDB. The primary key determines where the item will be saved and how will be retrieved from memory, thus it should be unique, right? So the DynamoDB is basically hash map. It's the same key value. Option for primary key, single. Okay, there are two types of primary key: single column or composite column. So based on your requirement, we need to define partition key and sort key. In this case, so need for this range. Okay, so sort key is also known as range key. Ideally, we don't need to range key. It's optional, however, it comes when handy when. Our partition key is not unique by itself. In that case, we can composite partition key the range as. So let's say you want your everyday data stored and based on the customer ID. So in that case, customer ID and that date could be primary key, and when you use range query, it will give fast result. Our access pattern required to get value some range. For example, if we have another table partition on the customer ID, we have to access best get all the order with less than 400 amount. Then we get access pattern. If you like customer ID, you will get a trouble, but make sure. So here is table block, primary key is a topic, sort by author date time, right? So item example, and this is so partition key and range key. The table example, partition key 1 2 3 1 2 1 2, and the range is ABC. So this is how server A have 2, server B have this, server C have like same primary. So it will sort and something like that. Now next part is capacity units. Learn about how to use service exchange. We will cover is following: write capacity, read capacity. So as I saw the previous lane example, lane we have fixed number of the lane. So that's how you need to write. So earlier the silent feature of DynamoDB lesson, we changed the frequency of read and write. Instead of for the store to use we can choose one or two following options: on demand provisioning and provisioning capacity. This option, you on demand means based on the the loads, and provisioning capacity means this option is specify upfront how much capacity based on our estimated read and write per second we will. This is based on demand and based on estimation. Write capacity. One write capacity unit means DynamoDB will support one write per second for an item size of 1 KB. If the item size is greater than 1 KB, it says that 10 kg, it will need more capacity units. That in that case, it will need 10 capacity unit for storage consistency in write. We will need to write capacity unit to write item size at 1 KB 1 second. Let's do size 4. Size of item is 4. Write capacity is 10. Strong consist write per second 1. And eventually consist read capacity means one read capacity unit means understand one strong consistently read per second or two eventually consistent read per second with the item size of 4 KB. So write is 1 KB, here is 4 KB. Just like with write capacity, size at more than 4 KB, we need to divide item by 4 KB and take the ceiling. Read and item size is a 50 KB, eventually consists of read. So let's look up calculator. Size of item 21, read capacity 150, strong consistency per second 28, eventually. So this is how we need to evaluate. Okay, so now we need to do the practical DynamoDB, creating a table using AWS console. So as we go before AWS, and we need to, this is my account, so we need to go here. Yeah, so account manage console, and then we need to go here, and then we need to go database, then we need to go DynamoDB. Okay, so then we need to go here, creating, enter table name, partition key. Okay, choose the table. Okay, so here choose the table and the add sort key. Okay, table name is a person. Okay, and partition key is, so I think we can do same, books, author, and books and a author. Okay, so books, author, and year title, add sort key. Author year sort key means year based on year, string both. I put the string, and provision free eligible provisioning. Okay, default setting, customized setting, and so when I create, okay, so provisioning, okay, read capacity, write capacity, they have creating table using AWS. You can create using here also. Provisioning, auto scaling is 5, size, DynamoDB, indexes, and all those is creating. Okay, so using CLI, we also can use curl command, and then get install unzips, and then we can also do configure a CLI. We need to do AWS access ID, access key, and then we can do like AWS DynamoDB schema, attributes, and all those things. Practice, we can also do the practice. Yeah, so this is how we need to do terminal. We can connect here. Let me see here, reason, maybe you need to specify the reason, AWS key, secret key, outputs, practice. Yeah, that's all from my side. Yeah. Thank you. So the sort of learning outcome of this lesson, DynamoDB data model, we saw as a summary. We'll go like table, item, attributes, and then data types, scalar, and document and set, and then primary key and range key, how to set, primary key and how to store. These are the example I gave. And then a capacity, read capacity, and how write capacity work. And this is an example. I think you can create, do, and practice like as I created here. So this is active, and if you see here, index, monitor, global index, backup, export, and setting, a lot of things is there. Thank you for watching.